All right, welcome back. You're still watching News Up here on SilverBird Television. Quickly, it is a leap year, and for most of us, we believe that in the leap year is just the year that has 29 days in the month of February, making it 366 days. That's against the 365 that we're all used to. Now, that is the layman's position of what the leap year is. But scientists are telling us that there is much more than meets the eye when we talk about the leap year. And to do justice to this conversation, we have a scientist in the studio this morning. Stanley Chibuihem is our guest on the show. Stanley, good morning and welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure welcoming me to your well-esteemed and reputable television station.
Welcome, Stanley.
It's a pleasure.
You're most welcome. So tell us why you think the leap year is not just a year with an extra day added to it.
Yeah, let me give what a leap year is. A leap year, many people don't know, it has three names. Either you call it leap year, or you call it intercalary year, or you call it bissextile year. Bissextile year. Leap year 1, intercalary year 2, bissextile year 3. I'm going to explain them independently because of the masses so that they can easily understand. Because though they have been hearing it's only leap year, they have not been hearing intercalary year, it's the same thing. They have not been hearing bissextile year, it's the same thing. Leap year, just from the English term to leap, to go to the next thing, before I explain what it is scientifically. Then intercalary year, from the technical terminology, intercalating, meaning inserting, to insert something. Another day is inserted into the 28th day of February. That's the meaning of intercalary. Then bissextile year came from the Latin word bisextilis annus, which means the sixth day that is added in order to get the last day in the February, usually in 24th of February. So the leap year was invented by Julius Caesar in 45 BC. The Julian calendar, which is a reformed form of the Roman calendar, which was reformed by Julius Caesar, was eventually taken over by the Gregorian calendar after the Pope Gregory the 13th, and that was in 1582. That was when the Gregorian calendar, which is the internationally accepted calendar all over the world, the most accepted international calendar all over the world in use for several calculations mathematically at present now, is the Gregorian calendar after the Pope Gregory the 13th in 1582. That was when the calendar we are using now came into being. Now, a leap year or an intercalary year or a bissextile year is just a year in the Gregorian calendar and also in the Julian calendar that is no more in use, that one day is added to 28 February to make it 29 February, because the rotation of the Earth on its axis, if we use this to be the sun, this big one to be the sun, this is just an improvised technique, and we use this to represent the Earth that is rotating on the axis of the sun. Geography shows that it takes the Earth to go the sun once in 365.22.24 days. When you check 0.2224 days, approximately is taken as 1/4 of a day. Although I won't go too much into astronomical studies, you people won't understand. So for simplicity, it is taken as 1/4 day. But there is also an infinitesimal fraction from that 1/4, which is we intentionally neglect. And that is why no calendar, you may not know this, no calendar is 100% perfect. Even the Gregorian calendar we are using now, you lose one day after 3,000 and something years, because the 1/4 day is not 100% perfect. It's just an approximation. in order to make everything simple. Just like in your secondary school days, that pi is 22/7. 22/7 is taken as a value assigned to pi. Does not mean that mathematically pi is 22/7. Pi is a transcendental number, while 22/7 is not a transcendental number. Pi is an irrational number, while 22/7 is not an irrational number. That is what happens here. It takes the sun, it takes the earth to go around this sun once in 365.2224 days. By the time you calculate that 0.2224 days, you will have a fraction of 5 hours something 5 hours and other days. So it is not 100% 24. It's 24 1/4 of a day. But an approximation is taken as 1/4 to avoid people having a problem in calculation. So in a quadrennial year, that is after it has gone once, go second, go third, and go the fourth one. The fourth one is now taken to be a leap year. That is 1/4 times 4, giving us extra 1 day. And that extra 1 day, called an intercalary day or a leap year or a bisextile year, is now added to February 28, making it February 29. That is how leap year came into being, for simplicity purposes.
Okay, so I want us to bring it back to what the argument people always have during every 29th of February. So for people born on the 29th of February, what does that mean for them? What scientific, is there a scientific attachment to people born on the 29th of February?
No,
since they get to
it has been a misconception. People thought that the leap year has a leap day. Remember, the exact day, February 29, is a leap day. While the whole year, 366 days, from January 1 to December 31, are known as leap year. People, it's a myth. It's a kind of a people having one thing they are insinuating. There is no scientific connotation that a leap year has a spiritual connotation or one thing or the other. It is a myth people have had within them, either philosophically or whatever. It is not scientifically proven. But the only thing is that in some countries like Ireland, my sister, you may not like to hear this, females are allowed to go and propose to any man of their choice on a leap day. Exactly. And this sister can go to any man she likes to say, I want you to marry me. I want you to marry me, without the man refusing. And if the man refuses, the man won't refuse. Yeah, but if the man refuses, he has to, according to Ireland, their culture. I have not been to Ireland. The man has to buy her 12 gloves in order to say, I'm sorry, I cannot. Gloves. Yeah, you have to say, no, I can't marry you. That is the aspect of that. It has no negativities. Many people say on every leap year there is an evil that will happen. That is a myth. It's not true. I'm sorry to mention this. I don't want to mention the name of the airline. An airline crashed last year, killing over 100 and something people. If you can remember, I don't want to mention the countries we on air. If it has happened, last year was not a leap year. If it had happened on a leap year, people will say, you see, an evil always occur in leap year, evil always occur. No, all those are superstition. None of them is scientifically proven.
Does any ask, because I'm wondering, the month of chosen as the leap month, and not some other months that have 30 days and not 31 days. So why is it special that February has 28 days and then for leap year it has 29 days and not any other month? Yeah, what happened there is that when you check, we have different types of calendar in the world. We have the Muslim calendar, we have the Chinese calendar, we have the Barian calendar, we have the Ethiopian calendar, we have the Gregorian calendar, we have the Julian calendar. Just mention it. From the Julian calendar, which was the Roman calendar, and which Julius Caesar invented, on which the Gregorian calendar, which is the present internationally accepted civic calendar in use almost all over the world now. Julius Caesar, who introduced leap year, found in 45 BC, found that all the
months have 30 or 31. You know your story 30 days are September, April, June, and November. You know your story. So you find that only February is 28, and they are trying to make up other February to, so it will not look cheated. You know, when your mommy is sharing biscuits with you and your other relations, and you're only small, when your mommy comes back from market, it's going to say, my daughter, use this, complete your own. Your brothers have cheated you. That's what happened here. So they have to. 28. So Julius Caesar has to add extra one. I told you Julius Caesar started a leap year in 45 BC in the Julian calendar, before the Gregorian calendar that started by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582. That is in the 16th century. So one day has to be added to the February in order to his own to come up more, so that Mama will not cheat him too much. That was the reason. I tried to bring it into the tabloid form, in a human being form, for the masses to understand. Because when we speak it much scientifically or astronomically, they will not easily understand. And there's another thing an impression I want to let people know. When you were in primary school or secondary school, they told you that leap year is every year. It's not actually true. That is an eye-opener I want people to know now online, especially students. So you're saying leap is not the year divided by 4? No, listen to me. If the year is not a century year, what do you mean by a century year? If it is not 1100, 1200, 1300, 1400, 1500, 1600, 1700, 1800, we are in 2000 now. We are in the year 2000, which is 2000. That's what we call century years. Okay. That is those years that end in 00, like 1500, 1600, 1900. We are also in 2000. We are in what they call century years. If that year is not a century year, for example, 1996, last 4 years. Last 4 years was a leap year, but it's not a century. 2016. Yes, yeah, but it's not a century. Okay, yeah, it's a leap year, but not a century. Correct. It was a leap year, but not a century year. If it is not a century year, then it will be evenly divisible by 4. What do you mean by evenly divisible by 4? It should be divisible by 4 without a remainder. If that year did not end in 00, and it is, you can write it down. If the year is not divisible by, it did not end in 00, and it is divisible by 4 without a remainder, it is a leap year. For example, 2016. Correct. 2016. Divided by 4. 2016 is a leap year. Okay. It's a leap year. It didn't end in 00. It's not a century year. Are you getting it? After this year now, we are year 2020. Another leap year will be 2024. It's not a century year. 2024 is not a century year because it didn't end in 00. Yeah. But it's divisible by 4. Yes. Then it's a leap year. So which year is not a leap year? Good. Which year is good? It's not divisible by 4. Good. It's a leap year that is non-divisible by 4. Now, any year, there are two calculations in this. I'm going to take them one after the other because I know some of our people are weak in mathematics and want their maths to come up. Now, look at it in this way. If it is not a century year, what do we mean by a century year? A year that ends in 00. That means if the year did not end in 00, like 2014, are you getting it? Like if it's not okay, like 2004, not 2014, like 2004 is not a century year, but is divisible by 4. Yes. It's a leap year because 2004. It's not a century year, but it can be divisible by 4. It's a leap year. But if it's a century year that ends in 00 and is not divisible by 400, it's not a leap year. So for example, 1800. Yes. 1800, it's a century year, but it's divisible by 4 without remainder. Yes. But it's not divisible by 400.
That's quite confusing. I think
that is where your mathematics comes in. So that's why I don't want to go too deep.
What is the essence of being divisible by 400?
Well, I'm coming to that, so that the masses won't get lost.
It has a 2 remainder.
Yes.
1800 by 400.
Exactly.
It is 4 and has 2 remainder 2.
Good. So if it is a leap year, it must be divisible by 400 without a remainder. For example, 1800 was not a leap year, but the year 2000 is a leap year. So for a year to be a leap year, in order to